In the year 2143, humanity had enjoyed peace for over a century. After the Great Uprising, nations across Earth came together to form a united front, sharing knowledge, technology, and resources. War became a relic of the past, a story told to children as a warning. Humanity was now focused on exploring the stars, colonizing distant planets, and maintaining their fragile peace. However, in the depths of outer space, a different story was unfolding. The Galactic Empire, a powerful and ruthless regime, sought to dominate the known universe. They viewed Earth and its colonies as targets ripe for conquest. Despite sending warnings and diplomatic messages, the Empire's patience wore thin. On a warm summer morning, when the sun shone brightly over the Earth, news broke from a remote hospital on the edge of the Orion colonies. The Galactic Empire had launched an unprovoked attack, targeting the facility under the guise of destroying an alleged rebel base. With advanced weapons, they obliterated the hospital, killing hundreds of innocent patients and staff. Among those who perished were young mothers, fathers, and brave doctors. It was a tragedy that sent shockwaves across Earth. As details emerged, the Council formed an emergency meeting. At the center of the room, surrounded by faces filled with worry and anger, stood General Mira Talone. Tall and fierce, Mira was known for her strategic mind and fierce dedication to humanity. She looked around at her fellow council members, determination set in her eyes. "We cannot let this go unpunished. We have been peaceful for 107 years, but this is a declaration of war," she stated firmly. Opposing her was Dr. Elgar Mendez, a calm and wise member of the council. "And what will war bring us? More death, more suffering. We should seek diplomacy, not destruction." But Mira shook her head. "We've tried diplomacy. They do not understand peace. They only know power. We must fight back." After hours of heated discussion, the Council reached a decision. The peace that humanity had known was shattered by the Empire's brutality. They would rally their forces, preparing for war. Meanwhile, on board a colonial ship called the Horizon, Captain Rena Solis, a skilled pilot and leader, gathered her crew. She held a holographic image of the destroyed hospital and the faces of the victims. "This is why we fight. We owe it to those who were killed," she declared. Her crew, deeply affected by the attack, nodded in agreement. Among them was her trusted friend and engineer, Max, a brilliant inventor with a knack for creating advanced technology. "We need to harness everything we could give us an edge," Max said, his mind racing with ideas. "What if we modify the ship's energy shield to absorb enemy blasts? It could protect us while we engage." Rena smiled. "That's brilliant. Let's get to work." As days turned into weeks, humanity prepared itself for the battle ahead. Troops trained tirelessly, ships were refitted, and strategies were devised. Hope mingled with fear as parents kissed their children goodbye, knowing some might never return. The day came when the Galactic Empire received word of humanity's mobilization. Emperor Zeroth, a cruel and cold leader, laughed at the news. "They think they can challenge us," he sneered, turning to his generals. "They will learn that defiance comes with a heavy price." On the day of battle, ships of the Galactic Empire blocked out the stars as they descended upon Earth. Waves of humanity's fleet, led by Captain Rena and General Mira, surged into space to meet them. The sight was majestic and terrifying, an armada of humanity ready to reclaim their honor. As the two fleets clashed, lasers danced through space. Ships exploded, debris raining down in a deadly shower. Rena piloted the Horizon with fearlessness, dodging enemy fire and directing her crew. Max worked feverishly in engineering, activating the modified shields when necessary. "Look out!" Max shouted as an enemy ship crossed their path. The Horizon shuddered under blow, but their shields absorbed the impact. Rena's heart raced as she pushed forward, leading them to the center of the battle. Mira commanded the ground forces, coordinating attacks to protect vulnerable spots on Earth. The conflict raged for hours, the two sides locked in a brutal dance of death and destruction. As the battle progressed, Rena found herself facing one of the Galactic Empire's commanders, a vicious fighter named Urok. He was as ruthless as he was skilled, and she had heard stories of his brutal tactics. With pulses racing, Rena engaged him directly. Maneuvering her ship, she fired her weapons, but Urok was quick. He countered her attacks, leading to a vigorous chase through the stars. Rena tightened her grip on the controls, determination sparking inside her. With one final surge of energy, she loaned all the power to her weapons. The horizon erupted with brilliance as a shot fired true, hitting Urok's ship and destroying it. In that moment, a cheer erupted from her crew. "We can win this," Max shouted, exhilarated by their triumph. As night fell on Earth, the battle seemed to turn in humanity's favor. They pushed deeper into enemy lines, but as they gained ground, a new wave of galactic ships arrived. The Empire was not finished yet. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, General Myra's voice came through the comms. "This is our chance. For every fallen soul, we fight harder. We push forward." With Myra's declaration, the spirit of humanity surged. They rallied, pushing through overwhelming odds, their hearts filled with the memories of those they lost. The Empire's forces scattered, retreating in the face of this renewed resolve. In the aftermath, as the stars shone bright against the darkness of space, humanity emerged victorious. The cost had been great, but they had fought for their fallen and redeemed their honor. Back on Earth, Captain Rena stood with General Mira and Dr. Elgar. "We have won, but we must build a future," Mira said. "One where peace is not just a distant memory." With that, the seeds of a new alliance were planted. The scars of war were deep, but humanity had risen against tyranny, proving that even after 107 years of peace, the heart of the brave beats fiercely in the face of injustice. They would strive to create a galaxy where such brutality would never reign again. The year is 2342. For 107 years, humanity had known peace. The Great Harmony, they called it, a time of unprecedented cooperation and technological advancement. Earth, once fractured by nations, was now unified under the banner of the United Earth Federation, a beacon of hope in a galaxy teeming with diverse civilizations. But the peace was about to be shattered. Dr. Aristhorn, a man of science and compassion, dedicated his life to healing. He worked at the Ceres General Hospital, a state-of-the-art medical facility orbiting the dwarf planet Ceres in the asteroid belt. It was a place of miracles where advanced technology mended broken bodies and minds. Eris, with his kind eyes and gentle hands, was a symbol of humanity's dedication to life. One day, a shadow fell upon the hospital. A fleet of warships, sleek and menacing, emerged from hyperspace. They belonged to the KRYLL Empire, a ruthless and expansionist force that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Without warning, they opened fire. Chaos erupted within the hospital. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the screams of patients and staff filled the air. Eris, along with his colleagues, rushed to evacuate those who could be moved. But many were too weak, too injured to be saved. "What do they want?" a nurse cried, her voice trembling with fear. Eris didn't know. The KRYLL had never made contact with humanity before. Why attack a hospital? It made no sense. The hospital's defenses, designed for minor asteroid impacts, were no match for the KRYLL warships. Explosions rocked the structure, tearing through walls and shattering windows. Eris and a small group of survivors huddled in a reinforced operating room, the only relatively safe place left. Among them was Maya, a young girl with a rare genetic disorder. Eris had been treating her for months, and she had become like a daughter to him. He held her close, trying to shield her from the horror outside. "It's going to be okay, Maya," he whispered, though he wasn't sure if he believed it himself. Suddenly, the door to the operating room burst open. KRYLL soldiers, clad in black armor, stormed inside, weapons raised. They were tall and gaunt, with pale skin and piercing red eyes. Their faces were devoid of emotion, their movements precise and deadly. "Clear," one of them barked in a guttural language. Eris stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "We are doctors, nurses, patients," he said. "We are not a threat." The KRYLL soldiers didn't respond. They opened fire, their weapons spitting bolts of energy. Eris threw himself in front of Maya, shielding her from a blast. He felt a searing pain in his chest as he fell to the ground. As Eris lay dying, he saw Maya's face, her eyes wide with terror. He reached out to her, his fingers brushing against her cheek. "Live, Maya," he whispered. "Live for all of us." News of the attack spread like wildfire across the Earth Federation. The images of the destroyed hospital, the dead and wounded, filled the news feeds. People were outraged, heartbroken, and terrified. The KRYLL had committed an unspeakable atrocity, an act of pure barbarism. The Federation Council, a body of representatives from all nations, convened an emergency session. The debate was heated. Some argued for diplomacy, for trying to understand the KRLL's motives. Others demanded immediate retaliation, a swift and decisive strike to avenge the fallen. Among those calling for war was General Valerius, a stern and battle-hardened commander. He had witnessed the horrors of war firsthand and knew the cost of inaction. "We cannot allow this to stand," he declared. "If we do, the KRYLL will only grow bolder. They will come for us all." Valerius's words resonated with the people. Millions took to the streets, demanding justice. The pressure on the Federation Council became unbearable. Finally, after days of deliberation, they reached a decision. The United Earth Federation declared war on the KRYLL Empire. The decision was not taken lightly. War meant death, destruction, and untold suffering. But humanity had been pushed too far. The attack on the hospital was not just an attack on a building. It was an attack on everything humanity stood for: compassion, peace, and the sanctity of life. The Federation mobilized its fleet, a formidable force of warships and fighters. They were technologically advanced, but they lacked the KRYLL's experience in war. The odds were stacked against them, but they were determined to fight for their survival. Leading the charge was Admiral Sarah Kerrigan, a brilliant strategist and a fierce warrior. She had risen through the ranks, earning the respect of her crew and the fear of her enemies. She was a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in the darkness. "We fight for those who cannot," she said in a broadcast of fleet. "We fight for the innocent, for the fallen, for the future of humanity." The first battle took place near the edge of Federation space. The KRYLL fleet was waiting, ready to crush the human forces. The battle was fierce and brutal. Ships exploded, fighters darted through space, and energy weapons clashed. Kerrigan led her fleet with courage and skill. She anticipated the KRYLL's tactics, exploited their weaknesses, and inspired her crew to fight beyond their limits. Despite being outnumbered, the Federation forces held their ground. The battle raged for hours, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. But then, Kerrigan launched a daring maneuver. She led a small group of fighters through a gap in the KRYLL lines, heading straight for their flagship. The KRYLL flagship was a massive vessel, heavily armed and shielded. But Kerrigan was not deterred. She knew that if she could destroy the flagship, she could break the KRYLL's morale and turn the tide of the battle. She and her team fought their way through the flagship's defenses, dodging fire and destroying enemy fighters. Finally, they reached the bridge, the heart of the ship. Inside the bridge, the KRYLL commander watched in disbelief as Kerrigan and her team stormed in. He raised his weapon, but Kerrigan was too fast. She fired, and the commander fell to the ground, dead. With the commander gone, the KRYLL flagship fell into chaos. The crew panicked, and the ship began to lose control. Kerrigan ordered her team to plant explosives on the ship's core. The explosives detonated, and the KRYLL flagship was torn apart in a massive explosion. The destruction of the flagship sent shockwaves through the KRYLL fleet. Their morale shattered. They began to retreat. The Federation forces had won their first victory. The war was far from over, but the victory had given humanity hope. They had shown the KRYLL that they would not be easy prey. They would fight for their freedom, for their values, for their future. As the war raged on, Eris Thorn's sacrifice became a symbol of human resistance. His name was spoken with reverence, and his image was displayed on posters and banners. He had given his life to protect the innocent, and his memory inspired others to fight for what was right. And what of Maya, the young girl Eris had saved? She survived the attack and was taken to a safe haven. She never forgot Eris's kindness, his compassion, his love. She vowed to live her life in a way that would honor his memory. The war against the KRYLL was a long and bloody struggle. But in the end, humanity prevailed. They pushed back the KRYLL, liberated enslaved worlds, and brought peace to the galaxy once more. In the year 2150, the galaxy flourished under the peace treaty signed over a century ago. Humans and various alien species shared trade, knowledge, and culture, creating a bright future. But all this changed in an instant. On a quiet day in a well-known hospital on Earth, a group of scientists was working on advanced medicine that could save thousands of lives. Among them was Dr. Mia Talbot, a brilliant doctor known for her kind heart and strong dedication. That afternoon, she was treating patients in the emergency room when suddenly, alarms began to blare and red lights pulsed in the hallways. The Galactic Empire, a powerful force that resided far from Earth, launched an attack without warning. Their ships, massive and dark, blocked the sky, and they unleashed destruction from above. Panic spread to the hospital as people ran for safety. Dr. Mia, with her calming voice, encouraged her team to assist the patients. "We must save everyone we can," she urged. Among the injured was a young boy named Leo, who had come to the hospital to get treated for a broken leg. He looked at Dr. Mia with wide eyes, confused and scared. "Will we be okay, doctor?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Yes, Leo. We will make sure you are safe." "Just stay close," she replied, as she and her nurses fought to help everyone. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the city, Commander Yarrick, a skilled officer of the Earth-Space Defense Force, was in a meeting when he received the news about the attack. His superior, General Vargas, quickly organized a response. "We cannot let them destroy our home. Rally our forces. We have to fight back." As Yarrick gathered his team of officers, he felt a surge of anger and fear. A century of peace was shattering before his eyes. He looked at his trusted friend, Lieutenant Sarah, who had always shown courage in the face of danger. "Sarah, we need to protect our people. Are you ready for battle?" he asked. "More than ready, Yarrick. They have crossed the line, and we must show them we won't back down," she replied, fire in her eyes. Back at the hospital, Dr. Mia was still aiding patients. She had organized her staff into a team, helping cure those who were hurt while sheltering them in the basement. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the building and the lights flickered. "Stay calm. We will be safe here," Mia called out, trying to reassure everyone. Leo clutched her hand tightly. As preparations for war began, Yarrick stood on the bridge of a ship called the Defender. The massive craft was one of the strongest ships in the fleet. He glanced at the stars through the viewport, aware that a storm was brewing. "We cannot let this act of aggression go unpunished. We will engage the enemy and go into combat. It's time to show them humanity is united," he shouted. The engines of the Defender roared to life, and the ship launched into the depths of space, joined by a fleet of other ships. They soared past planets and asteroids, each soldier ready for the battle that lay ahead. Back at the hospital, the situation was growing dire. The Galactic Empire's forces continued to strike, and Dr. Mia worked relentlessly. She knew every moment mattered. Just as she was about to check on Leo again, a loud noise echoed through the building. A troop of alien soldiers burst into the hospital, weapons drawn. "Get back!" Mia shouted, standing protectively in front of her patients. But she knew they were outnumbered. At that moment, Commander Yarrick and his team entered the scene. The Defender had tracked the Galactic Empire's movements and arrived just in time. Yarrick felt a rush of relief when he saw Dr. Mia and the frightened patients. "We're here to save you," he yelled as he ordered his team to secure the area. Sarah led a group to fend off the attackers, and soon an intense battle erupted inside the hospital. Laser blasts flew, and cries of both joy and fear echoed through the halls. Yarrick fought through the chaos, moving toward Mia and Leo. "Stay close to me," he shouted. Mia quickly organized her team to treat the wounded soldiers, while also ensuring the safety of her patients. "We can't leave anyone behind," she said firmly. As the battle raged, Yarrick watched in awe as Mia, despite the chaos, began to stabilize one of the injured alien soldiers. "You're helping them?" he asked, surprised. "Every life matters, Yarrick," she replied without looking up. "Even theirs." After a long and bitter fight, the Earth forces began to gain the upper hand. The invaders began to retreat, but not without leaving damage. Many heroes were lost that day, both human and alien alike, but through teamwork and determination, the hospital became a symbol of resilience. As the threat diminished and silence returned to the air, Yarrick approached Mia. "You did something incredible today. You saved lives, even under fire." "I only did what was right," Mia said, wiping the sweat from her brow. "We must always choose compassion. It's what makes us human." The battle ended, but the scars remained. A new chapter began as humanity came together, forming stronger alliances with other species. They realized that their peace was precious, but sometimes standing firm against oppression was necessary. Days turned into weeks as the world began to heal from the invasion. Yarrick and Mia worked together, not just as defenders of Earth, but as advocates for unity among species in the galaxy. The memory of that fateful day taught them that the bonds of friendship and teamwork could create a brighter future. And so, under the same stars that had witnessed their struggle, the people of Earth and their allies began to rebuild, not just their homes, but also their hearts. The lessons learned would echo through generations, ensuring that peace would never again be taken for granted.